Real quick and just sort of clarify the lab for this week and the two different assignments. And so the two different assignments are not necessarily related to each other. They're completely separate labs. And so the first one right here, or actually it's the second one that I have set up here, will be where you'll essentially will go in and find codes from the data activity that you collected last week. That was sort of the video that you watched and the interactions that you took notes on. So I'll go to this right here. And so this is just a five-point assignment where you will go in and find codes within that observation. And so I know that you didn't necessarily type out you didn't type the data out. I know it's been handwritten. But what I want you to do is to go through and you can highlight it with a highlighter, or you can do something like that to sort of indicate that those are certain parts that you think are unique, and you develop codes, which I have over here, from that. And so that's all based on the data that you collected last week within sort of that observation that you were watching, and that's the data that you collected last week. These are videos to help you sort of think about how to find codes within data, within qualitative data. And this is just a practice analyzation activity that I've set up for you to do. This lab right here, your lab placement activity, is separate. And this is where you're going to go in and you're going to observe in your classroom and observe in different areas of your classroom for 45 minutes. Now, this is a completely separate from the lab from last week. And all you'll turn in is what is required down here is essentially your notes typed out and your handwritten notes and sort of highlighted here. You will not be doing codes or themes for this data this week. You will be next week, but I haven't, that assignment is still coming, and there'll be much more detail on what I'm looking for, because you'll be doing codes, but you'll also do themes within those codes. And so we're kind of building on the work you're doing this week, where this week you're only looking at codes. Next week, you'll be doing using this data, and this is a 45-minute observation. So hopefully you have a lot more data to work with, and you can kind of develop codes and themes from that data. And so they're separate assignments. One is just using the activity you did last week and the information you wrote down to find codes. And then this is a separate one where you're doing an observation in the classroom. You're observing in different parts of the classroom and you're writing down that information, and then you're typing that up, and that's separate. And you don't want to code this data this week, but you will be coding it next week. And I'll have more instructions on that next week. Okay, hopefully that clears things up if there's questions. And if you have questions you want to meet or send me an email, I'm happy to help clarify things.